Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Assalamu ala al-Hussein wa ala Ali ibn al-Hussein wa ala awlad al-Hussein wa ala ashab al-Hussein. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Women of Karbala, the Power of a Woman, episode 3 with your host, Sister Zainab. In this program, we will be discussing about Bibi Zainab Salamullah Alaiha, who was the voice of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. This is not the relationship between just brother and sister. This is the relationship between the Imam and the companions. A tribute to Bibi Zainab Salamullah Alaiha, who was an example of a power of a woman, and an honor. There are beautiful words that has been written in a poetry that I would like to read. Lady of faith, lady of strength, they killed your sons, your brothers, your friends, and then they came and burned your tents. Lady of faith, lady of strength, oh my, what courage you did show, even as those fires did blow. Lady of faith, lady of strength, to Yazid palace where you dragged with a sick imam who was bound and gagged. Face to face with the Yazid, you said, how dare you tread the Ahlul Bayt so bad. Your role was clear, there was no choice. To save Islam, you used your voice. To this day we remember in this majlis that it was you who gave the start to all this. So we can never forget, you went to great length, a lady of faith, a lady of strength. Has written this, it's very beautiful. Oh, I know about Damascus where Zainab star shines. Zainab, who's the daughter of Imam Ali alayhi salam, who has nursed humanity from Karbala throughout times to keep Islam alive. Humanity signs peace and joy at once to everyone who sees still in love. To see the trees of truth bloom and the world be rid of gloom. If there is one thing the entire universe that share, and it is because of Bibi Zainab Salamullah Alaiha, the world knows about Karbala. That's the power of a woman. Now we will be welcoming a next guest of honor. And welcome, lady.
In the name of Allah, the merciful, the compassionate. And for everyone is a direction he turns to. So race to goodness. Wherever you may be, it will bring you together with Allah. This is a verse from chapter Baqarah, verse 148, that refers to life in this world as a race. Life is in actuality a great race, with the track or path being the doing of good deeds, and the finish line, Allah's satisfaction and our closeness to Him. However, in the great race, the path to Allah is the loneliest and the most difficult path, full of obstacles, dead ends, and detours. And so, if we take a wrong turn, obstacles and dire consequences lay ahead. So to successfully navigate this road, we need a reliable compass, road map, and training. But where can we find these valuable tools? Well, to start, we can conclude that since Allah is the inclusively merciful, He has provided these tools within reach for everyone. Therefore, we can safely say that our compass is our holy prophet and his blessed family, peace and blessings be upon them. And our roadmap is our noble Quran. And our training is life, whether it is from our own experiences or from others. The events leading up to Ashura and during and post Ashura are full of such training points that can help us finish this great race successfully, insha'Allah. As an example, by analyzing the words of Hazrat Zainab, peace be upon her, spoken in the bazaar of Kufa after the horrific events of Karbala, we learn some essential lessons of how we can avoid Allah's anger and the torment of the hellfire. As the caravan of Imam Hussein's family, women folk, elderly, children, relatives, and the sickly Imam Sajjad, peace be upon them, were paraded through the chaotic bazaar of Kufa. Hazrat Zainab used this opportunity to address the people using well-calculated and eloquent words to enlighten the people of Kufa regarding their wicked deeds and evil situation, which they created for themselves. Her address was regarded as a fine testament to her intellect and expressive style, much like her great father, Imam Ali, peace be upon him. If we analyze it and take it as a code of ethics taught to us by Hazrat Zainab, today we can use it to transform ourselves into one of the muttaqin, or God-conscientious people. In the Bazaar of Kufa, she eloquently composed a short address meant to shake and disrupt the comfortable world of the treacherous people of Kufa. She clearly pointed out the evil characteristics of the people of Kufa that led to their abandonment of the Quranic path and the Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon him. A quick historical point. The people of Kufa were of several groups. Those who were totally with the Imam, like Nafi bin Hilal, who escaped from the prison of Kufa to join Imam Hussein and was martyred in Karbala with him. Very few like Hur ibn Yazid, who at first were with the army of Yazid and later repented and joined Imam Hussein and became martyred with him. Then there were about 12,000 who were imprisoned or killed and thus prevented from assisting Imam Hussein at the time, but later, when they were freed, rebelled and led several uprisings against Yazid, like Muqtad. Those who were openly and totally with Yazid, may Allah curse him. Then there were the hypocrites, those who had a history of selecting the side they thought would bring them the most material benefits, like Ubaydullah, who believed that the truth was, in fact, with Imam Hussein. But because of Yazid's promise of power and position, he took up arms against the Imam. Then there were those like the cursed Shimr, where history records him as a hypocrite who fought alongside of Imam Ali, peace be upon him, simply to reap the rewards of his imamat. Many others invited Imam Hussein to Kufa to act as their leader, but they did so with the hope that they would gain some material benefits from his imamat. And so when Ubaydullah bribed them with gold coins, they sold out the Shia of Imam Hussein. Others, as previously mentioned, held a deep grudge against Imam Ali, peace be upon him, because of his strict enforcement of Allah's justice, or because they were jealous of the Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon them, like the sons of Zubayr, and those who remained silent. Of these, some were neutral and refused to take sides, and others who believed in the imamat of Imam Hussein, but out of fear didn't show open support and allegiance, and afterwards, out of extreme regret, led or took up arms against Yazid's corrupt government. But this was after the incident of Ashura. So let's take a quick look at the message of Hazrat Zainab that was spoken in the Bazaar of Kufa, in hopes that it can help us on our own path of self-discovery and character building, by making us aware of which characteristics lead people astray from Allah's satisfaction and closeness. Hazrat Zainab used specific adjectives to describe the people of Kufa, and ended her address by mentioning their dark and cursed lot for rescinding their help and support of Imam Hussein's divine mission. In her address, she begins with directly referring to the people of Kufa as disloyal breakers of their covenant. So she begins by accusing the people of Kufa of having these two despicable traits. Such people, she says, are like a foolish woman who, after spinning her string, destroys it and makes it into cotton once more. It is vital to note that the start of the ill faith of the people of Kufa begins with their disloyalty and breaking of their promise to Allah's appointed Imam. She says they were foolish, rash people who with their own hands destroyed their good deeds. She goes on to say, and make your faith and religious beliefs into a game. She says the people of Kufa made their faith and religious beliefs as insignificant, much like a game. The deen of Islam became mere entertainment for them. So it wasn't taken seriously and only referred to occasionally, and it wasn't the focal point of their life. So the moral teachings of their deen were also regulated to the rear seat. Imagine a life without established divine moral instructions. What would become of such societies? She tells the people of Kufa, you people are unstable and seek this world's life. The people of Kufa put their aims and desires into the material benefits and pleasures of this world. They chose to attach themselves to this short-lived and unstable life, much like a spider who spends its time and energy weaving a lovely home in a walkway, to only be destroyed in a short time by someone passing by. So the people of Kufa didn't make Allah their main focal point and didn't strive for Allah's satisfaction. She goes on to tell them, you are nothing but selfish and self-praising, boasting and exaggerating. These four characteristics are serious faulty character traits because they all stem from arrogance, a grave and serious sin that destroyed Iblis and damned him to eternal divine wrath. She tells the people of Kufa, you are cruel slaves who are accepting of humiliation, subservient slaves who praise the enemy. Allah has created human beings to enjoy freedom, dignity, and self-esteem. The Quran and teachings of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him and his family, or as we call it, the Sunnat al-Nabi, focus on developing the character and identity of human beings. Consequently, Allah has forbidden all human beings from becoming slaves to anyone other than their Creator, and has prohibited them from putting themselves in humiliating situations, such as the acceptance of imperialism, colonialism, or other oppressive Taghut governments, yet alone approve and praise such enemies of Allah. However, the people of Kufa did exactly these forbidden deeds, and so they also abandoned Allah's path and became of the humiliated slaves of Allah's enemies. She tells them they are stubborn enemies who are vindictive and informers. There is much to be said about the vindictiveness of certain groups of the people of Kufa. History has recorded that the reason why certain tribes and people rescinded their allegiance to Imam Ali, peace be upon him, and Imamat as a whole, was because they didn't have the capacity to accept justice, the divine justice implemented by the Imams. To be brief, such people expected favoritism, yet the Imams were loyal to upholding the justice of Allah. Others were also jealous of the status of the Imams and desired Imamat for themselves, believing they were equal to Imam Ali and the other pure Imams, peace be upon them. As we all know, jealousy eats away one's faith and renders one faithless and rebellious towards Allah. The people of Kufa were also so vindictive, disloyal, and slaves to the enemies of Allah, such that they didn't keep the secrets of the Shia community and would inform the enemy of their plans in exchange for worldly benefits. And this resulted in about 12,000 loyal Shia being imprisoned or slaughtered, so as to prevent them from aiding Imam Hussein on the day of Ashura. In the end, she says, you are like a plant or sprout that grows in the heart of the sludge, or you are like silver buried in the dirt. These are two interesting comparisons. Hazrat Zainab says that the people of Kufa are like a plant or sprout or silver. They have a good beginning and are not inherently evil like the Christian concept of original sin. Yet they are surrounded and covered by muck and dirt of this world, such as worldly material benefits that they've been hoarding in exchange for being disloyal to Imam Hussein. And this prevents them from being the good, pure human being that they should be. Hazrat Zainab then points out that as a result of their own deeds that they have earned the wrath of Allah, and they will undergo his torment. In summary, the potent words of Hazrat Zainab that were briefly spoken in the Bazaar of Kufa teach us a valuable lesson. We can't make our transit life our focal point, with our deen simply being recreation or a sport or a game.